Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Goruck Kaidan Collection, which is a collaboration that they did with Carryology. And the collection includes the GR2 34 liter, a bullet ruck, and a field pocket. And I was really excited when the collection was announced as it seemed like an excellent combination of items for minimal travel. This is actually how I've been traveling for many years now. Larger travel backpack with a packable day bag, modular organization, so a lot of really great stuff here. The GR2 is one of my favorite bags for one bag travel, but I really like some of the upgrades that they made in this version. I've also never had a chance to test out the bullet ruck and the field pocket, so I was excited to load them out, see how they worked in practice, and also see how all of these items work together. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, is talk about my experience testing these, show you how I've loaded them out, and I'll also talk about how they compare to other similar items that are currently on the market. Before jumping into the video, one note on these items is that as it is a limited release, they're very hard to get after the drop has happened. You can purchase them on secondhand markets. So I know it's not always super fun to watch a video on a bag that's going to be hard to get, but hopefully there's still some valuable information here on the GR2 and how much it can hold, and also the bullet ruck and the field pocket, and what my thoughts on how those items perform, whether you get these limited releases or not. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. To kick things off, we're going to be taking a look at the bullet ruck, and the aesthetic here is very similar to that of the other Goruck bags that we featured on the channel. So it has the minimal but still slightly tactical vibe that I'm a big fan of. You have some rows of MOLLE webbing along the front that give you some functionality, but it's not so overwhelming that you wouldn't be able to take this into an office setting. It's going to look good for walking around the city. So nice versatility with this aesthetic. The biggest difference with the look is probably going to be in the actual material. So this has an X-Pack fabric, a VX21 fabric on the bullet ruck, which has a little bit of texture. You can see that here. And I'm a big fan of this material in general. I think it offers a lot of weather resistance for the bags, keeps it a little bit lighter. It does have a little bit of that crinkly sound that some people mention when talking about this material, but to me, that's never really bothered me. I think it's a fair trade-off for all the other benefits that you get. The X-Pack fabric used here is a little bit lighter than the one that we'll see later in the GR2, which makes sense as this is meant to kind of be packed into that larger bag, as we'll talk about later in the video. So really love the use of the X-Pack here. Hope to see that in more Goruck bags in general. As I mentioned, just a lot of weather resistance. And then you have the aqua guarded YKK zippers all throughout, which I am a big fan of. I actually like that they replaced the rain flap on the zippers that they have on some of their other rucks to help keep the zippers protected from the elements. You have the aqua guards here, which still offer protection, but just make it a lot easier to open and close the zippers, in my opinion. Continuing along the outside, you have a really clean exterior. You don't have webbing on the sides, which is something that I had gotten used to with the GR1s and the GR2s, as I have water bottle pockets that you can attach. So that's something to note that you won't be able to add here, but I don't really mind that much. And then you have, the standard kind of Velcro patch area. This is a unique patch that's offered as part of the Kaidan Collection, specifically. Carryology always, comes up with some really interesting designs for the collaborations that they do. I'm not a huge patch guy. I think it looks really cool. I especially like that it's kind of blacked out so it blends in nicely with the bag, but you do have the ability to remove this and either not use a patch or replace it with one that you prefer. And then at the top of the bag, you have a really nice, well-reinforced handle, which is going to allow you to pick the bag up when you place it down. This, like many of Goruck's other bags, feels like a handle that's going to be able to handle plenty of weight. You got some nice stitching here. It feels comfortable. It offers a decent amount of padding. This is going to be a little bit different than the handles that we'll see on the GR2 in a minute, as those are made out of leather. This is just made out of kind of a nylon or Cordura material that feels fine. Taking a look at the capacity, the bag comes in at about 15 liters, which is a little smaller than what I would normally like to use for a daily bag, but I was impressed with how much this was able to hold due to the simpler layout that it has, so I could fit a lot more than I was expecting. All the items that I would normally carry with me on my day-to-day, and I still had a little bit of leftover space, and I like that this has a very slim form factor, so even when it's packed out, it really hugs your back nicely, making it great for navigating crowded areas and jumping onto public transit. One additional note while we're talking about the exterior is I like that this has a pretty square and flat bottom, which allows the bag to stand up pretty well on its own when it's packed out pretty full. Taking a look at the straps and the back paneling, so far the bag has been really comfortable to wear. You have some of the X-Pack fabric included on the straps, and I really love that this allows the straps to feel a little bit more broken in right out of the box than they did with the Cordura fabrics on the other Goruck bags that I've used. It also feels a lot less abrasive. And as with Goruck's other bags, they offer plenty of padding. There's not a ton of breathability on the inside, no mesh or anything like that. The straps do have a nice width, especially for this smaller size, to help prevent the bag from digging into your shoulders when it's a little bit more packed out. And then you also have some webbing on the straps that's going to allow you to attach accessories with a carabiner or a light, or if you would like to add a sternum strap to help distribute the weight. Taking a look at the back paneling, this has also been pretty comfortable. You have a decent amount of padding here. Again, the X-Pack fabric, which isn't going to be super breathable. You have some small air channels here, but like many of Goruck's other bags, there's not a ton of breathability. That's not really what their bags are known for. But overall, even without that breathability, as I've worn this, for a longer period of time during the day, it's actually felt pretty comfortable. Jumping into the organizational options, the bag has a pretty simple but very effective pocketing layout. On the front, you just have the slanted quick access pocket. Again, just really like the YKK zipper, and without the rain flap, it just becomes very easy to open. You can see how smooth that is. On the inside, you have a 400D Cordura fabric that's bright orange. That is another staple of the Carryology collaborations, but it also provides plenty of visibility for the items that you have on the inside. And this compartment, because of the X-Pack fabric, it feels a little bit more usable than the compartment on something like the GR1 or GR2 and 1000D, where it's really hard to kind of squeeze items in there that are not super thin. So I was actually surprised that I was able to fit a lot into this one. It's a pretty deep compartment, and so what I currently have here is my Blue Pop portable Bluetooth speaker and power bank, and then I also placed my Kindle e-reader. I tossed in a little pouch from Tom Bin. This is their Ghost Wheel pouch that has some of my smaller just tech items that I like to have with me. And then I also tossed in a small deck of playing cards. The next area that we're going to be taking a look at is a top quick access pocket that was added in for this collaboration. This pocket is not normally a part of the Bullet Rucks, but it's something that Goruck has been adding to some of their more recent releases, so hopefully that makes its way into future Bullet Rucks as well. I really like having it. This again has the aqua guarded zipper. It does have a little bit of a flap over this one. I'm not sure why they chose to keep that. I guess it just adds some extra protection and almost keeps it a little bit hidden. And then opening this compartment up, this offers a decent amount of space. It's a little bit tighter than I was expecting. I could fit a pair of sunglasses in here, but not with the hard case that I normally like to have with me. So I actually ended up using this for some of my tech items that I grab a little bit more regularly during the day. So I have my Apple AirPods Pro, and then I also tossed in a lightning cable and power brick to charge my tablet and my phone. On the inside, no other organization. You can see it fits about the length of my fingers and still a decent amount of space, even though it is a little bit smaller than I was expecting. And then the last compartment we're going to be taking a look at is the main storage area, and this does have a clamshell style opening, so it lays flat for easy packing and visibility into what you have in the bag. And so because of this simpler layout, this bucket of space, you can see it manages to handle bulkier items very well. I was really surprised with just how much I was able to fit into 15 liters of space. So diving into what I currently have here, first up I have the Field Pocket. This is the GR2 size that's also a part of the collection. Works great as a tech pouch and as a Dopp kit. I'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into this later in the video. I'll put it aside for now. I also have my DJI Mavic Mini with its case, and then my Beats Studio wireless headphones. I also tossed in my Levitate portable standing desk. And then that's about it for the main compartment. You can see it has the same bright Cordura lining, so it's nice to have that high contrast to give you some good visibility. On the back of this main area, you have just a simple sleeve. It's not padded or anything like that. This might be a good spot to store something like a notebook or maybe your laptop. In my case, I placed my iPad mini into here. This would definitely be able to hold a full-size tablet, not offering a ton of protection, but if you want to place your laptop or your tablet in a protective sleeve, it's still nice to have a spot for it. However, since it is on the back of the bag, when this is all filled up and because of this lip at the top, it might get a little bit tricky to get this out quickly. And then moving on to the flap of the main compartment, you have two zippered areas for extra organization. On the bottom, you have a larger mesh compartment so you can see into the inside. This is a great spot for bulkier, larger items, laptop chargers. In my case, I just tossed in two smaller items. I have a little manicure set and a tin with some band-aids and ointments. And then at the top, you have a slightly smaller compartment, and you have the Carryology and Goruck Bullet Ruck patch here on the inside, which is nice. And this one also offers a decent amount of volume, so if you have something a little bit bulkier, it gives you some extra space. It's larger than the quick access pocket that was on the top. And here I just tossed in my GoPro, and then I have my sunglasses with their case. So really love the simple layout offered by this Bullet Ruck and the impressive amount of space for its smaller footprint. And then when you're done using it, this actually makes a pretty decent packable backpack. That was one of the goals as part of including this in the collection, is using this lighter fabric and then allowing you to pack this flat into the GR2 so that when you're traveling and you leave your larger travel backpack in the hotel, you can just pull this out, pack in all of your daily essentials, and then have a really capable EDC backpack. And I think it works well in that case. It packs down pretty flat. Due to the straps being well padded, it's going to add a little bit more weight and space maybe than other packable backpacks that we featured on the channel. But I think it's a fair trade-off if you can manage it. And in general, I can understand why the Bullet Ruck has become so popular over the past couple of years. It's a really nice, minimal, everyday backpack. And if you're looking for something that's going to hold an impressive amount of space in a smaller package and offer a ton of durability, then it's going to be a fantastic option to check out. The next item we're going to be taking a look at is the Field Pocket, and this definitely feels like a Goruck product. It has the same kind of minimal tactical vibe. You have a spot on the front for a morale patch. Definitely fits in with the rest of their ecosystem, particularly the Kaidan Collection. I really love that this also has the X-Pack fabric, so again, just offering that nice weather resistance. It has the same texture, so it's going to match up well with the other bags in the collection. And then you have aqua-guarded YKK zippers that go all the way around, so it really feels like anything that's in here is going to get a lot of protection from the elements. One thing about this material that I wanted to call out is that this doesn't feel particularly padded. I had always heard of the Field Pockets be described as padded and being able to hold camera gear and things like that. It definitely feels like it's going to keep water out, but you can see here that it's got a pretty flexible structure. It doesn't feel too padded, so I wouldn't place anything in here without a case that was super delicate, which isn't that different from many of the other pouches that I like to use. Especially for something this big, I would be hesitant to have a rigid cube in a tighter travel backpack or in my daily bags. I like that this kind of shapes around the items that I place on the inside, so that could be a pro or a con depending on the use case that you had envisioned for the packing cube. Continuing along the exterior, as I mentioned, you have a Velcro area for morale patches. The Field Pocket has this blacked out American flag patch, which I think looks great. I actually like this one a little bit better than the specific Kaidan patches. That's just for me. I think it looks nice, but you can remove them. They sell a variety of patches on the market to customize the gear, make it a little bit more easy to identify, or you can just leave it off. You also have a handle that you can use to carry the Field Pocket. You can use it to pull this out of a bag, or you can actually hold the Field Pocket by this handle so that you can open it up and have a nice grip, not accidentally drop it. So nice that that's been included. And then on the back, you have the attachment points for the MOLLE webbing on the rucksacks. And this is a pretty interesting system. Most of the MOLLE pouches that I have usually have some sort of a button system, so with a metallic button. This doesn't have that. This is just the strap that you can weave in and out of the webbing. It still provides a secure hold, and I like that this keeps the straps a little bit more quiet. Generally, the accessories that I've purchased on my own have a little bit of a jingling because of the buttons that they include. That also adds additional weight complications. So I think this system works well as far as providing a good hold without adding that extra bit of noise. And then as far as the sizing, this is the GR2 version of the Field Pocket. There are two sizes. They have a GR1 and a GR2 size. For the Kaidan Collection specifically, in this X-Pack fabric, you can only get the GR2 size, and I was pretty surprised with how big this ended up being, which gives you a lot of flexibility with the types of items that you can store. I'll throw the dimensions onto the screen for reference, and I think it strikes a good balance, especially since it doesn't have a super rigid shape, for giving you flexibility to store bulkier items when you want to, but still compressing down when it's not as full. The sizing here definitely feels like it's going to work well as a tech pouch or as a Dopp kit, which is actually how I'm currently using it. You'll see as we dive into the pouch to take a look at the pockets, I'll show you the Dopp kit items that I currently have included. But before jumping into that, I did want to do some sizing comparisons with some of the other pouches that I've been using recently. So one of the first ones that I have here is the Alpaca Elements Tech Pouch, which is one that I absolutely love. It has the same X-Pack fabric, YKK zippers, and you can see that it's a little bit bigger than that pouch. It's taller in particular, so it's going to take up a little bit more space. But you know, still pretty decent size. It doesn't get too thick. And then you also have the Moment Tech Organizer, which again is another one of the slightly larger pouches that I use. Even this one is still quite a bit shorter than the Field Pocket, so just something to keep in mind. Extra flexibility, but more space. And then the last pouch that I wanted to show is the Evergood Civic Access pouch, which I've been a big fan of. I've been testing this a lot recently, and this is an interesting one as it's a little bit bulkier, but I feel like you get a lot of value for the space that it provides. And even so, it's still also shorter than the Field Pocket. So this is going to be one of the larger pouches that you can get. It's going to take up a substantial amount of space in the bags, but you know, with that, you get a lot of flexibility. Let's go ahead and dive into the inside. So this has a zipper that goes around to allow you to open it up flat, similar to the rucksacks, so you can get full visibility into the inside of the pouch. It actually has a pretty simple layout, which works well. I find that sometimes these types of pouches can get overwhelming with the organization that they have. That's always been one of the thoughts that I've had around the Peak Design tech pouches. There's so many little slots, and I feel like you lose a lot of space, particularly for larger items, and I don't end up using it. So I like this simpler layout. It's divided into two halves, and so on one of them you have a mesh slip pocket that you're gonna be able to see anything that you place in here. In my case, I have some of my larger toiletry items that I would normally carry with me. So I have deodorant, I have travel size shampoo, and a shaving cream, and those fit in there pretty comfortably. And there's not a lot of elasticity to this compartment. It does have enough volume, but it's not super stretchy. It's got a little bit of elastic here at the top. So it'll hold the items in place fairly well. And then behind this compartment, you have a zippered area, which is going to be a good spot for smaller accessories that you don't want floating around, or even if you want to keep something a little bit more hidden or protected. In my case, I just tossed in the Air card sleeve that I use as a wallet while I'm traveling. And then I also have this little clear pouch that has some extra contact lenses and some medicine that I like to just have with me wherever I travel. Before jumping to the other side, I wanted to call out that the Field Pocket also has a nice Carryology and Goruck logo here down in the middle. And this middle section is nice as it provides some volume to the pouch. This is what allows you to store some bulkier items. And so on the other side, you have a zippered mesh compartment. It's different than the one on the first side, which is just a slip pocket. This one actually has a zippered closure, so if you have smaller items or you want to prevent anything from actually slipping out, you can do so. It might have been nice to just have zippers on both sides for my personal preference, but it's nice to also have the variety, I guess. In this compartment, I just tossed in some of the smaller toiletry items, so a little travel size contact solution. I also tossed in a razor. I have a toothpaste, some hand sanitizer, and then I also tossed in a little foldable comb. So even with those items in there, I still had some leftover space, and it's just a really simple layout overall, which is kind of refreshing for a tech pouch. It just gives you enough so that it doesn't become total chaos in here with anything that you want to store. And then, as mentioned, it also works really well as a tech pouch. So, you could toss in your laptop charger, some power bricks, a portable battery, a mouse, some cables. You have enough organization to keep all of that stuff easily accessible. And then because of the size of the pouch, it's actually able to hold bulkier, larger items such as my Beats Studio wireless headphones or my drone remote, some of the items that might not fit into the tech pouches that that are a little bit slimmer and smaller. So really like the flexibility offered by the field pocket. I can definitely understand why this has become a popular accessory in the carry community over the past couple of years. This is going to be a little bit different because it's part of the Kaidan collection, but if you want to get one of the Cordura cubes that may be even a little bit more padded and you just need a simple organizer that's going to give you some extra space, and this is going to be a good option to check out. And then the final item in the Kaidan collection is the 34-liter GR2, and I've used the Cordura version of this bag over the past couple of years on many trips. It's held up super well. I'm a big fan of the aesthetic, the size, the organizational layout. I've covered it in many different videos. I even just did an in-depth video of the smaller version of this, the 26-liter GR2. If you want to check that out, I'll make sure to include a link to that in the description below. As far as the aesthetic, same tactical vibe that I've always been a fan of with the GR2. You have the MOLLE webbing on the front. You don't have any webbing on the side, which is a little bit of a change. It's unfortunate that you lose some of that functionality. It's a little bit cleaner with this X-Pack fabric, however. And then the fabric is probably the biggest aesthetic difference on the exterior. You have that same texture that we saw on the other items in the collection. The fabric also helps reduce some of the weight of the bag. This is a VX42 fabric, which is a little bit more robust than the one that was on the Bullet Ruck. Offers a ton of weather resistance. It's felt great so far. I also like that it doesn't have as much structure as Cordura. It feels a little bit more broken in, and it kind of molds around the items that I have in the bag. Just makes it easier to pack in that extra little bit. So I'm a big fan of the X-Pack fabric. Hopefully Goruck provides this as an option on more bags in the future. And then another change here is you have the aqua guarded YKK zippers all throughout the bag, and I really like this change. I was never a big fan of the rain flaps on the other versions of the GR2, as the zippers could kind of get stuck. They work very smoothly here. It's super easy to open the bag up when you want to get in and out quickly. The only pocket where that change was not made, and I don't quite understand why, because the Bullet Ruck does have the rain flap removed here. It's included, which can complicate this zipper opening a little bit. So really like the aqua guarded zippers, a nice improvement, and like the X-Pack fabric, I hope it's something that makes its way into other Goruck bags in the future. Continuing along the exterior, of course, you have a unique patch for the GR2 as part of the collaboration. This one is different than the one that I just showed a little while ago on the Bullet Ruck, and so really interesting designs. Again, I really like that this is all black. It blends in nicely with the bag, and then I'll probably take this off for actual travel to avoid it getting damaged or anything like that. On the top, you have a leather handle on the GR2. If you read the design article that was posted for the bag, they wanted to avoid this looking completely technical and tactical. This gives it a little bit of a classy feel. This leather is very comfortable. It feels durable. It looks good. And one of the changes with this version of the bag is that you have a handle on the bottom. And I think this is an interesting choice. I like having the handle on both sides. I definitely see where the designers were coming from, as it does make it easier to grab your bag out of an overhead storage compartment when you have that extra handle, or even to place it into a trunk or something like that. The GR2 was never a bag that stood up completely well on its own. I know that there might be some concerns over this handle at the bottom, as it kind of causes the bag to tip over a little bit more easily. I think that's a fair concern, but to me the trade-off is worth it to have that extra ease of grabbing this when it's in the storage areas. And then moving into the capacity, again, this is the 34-liter of the GR2, so the smaller version. The Cordura bags are offered in a 40-liter size, which is really big. I've never used that size, as 34 is what I feel comfortable traveling with on an airline, and feeling like it's not going to be something that I have to check. And I feel like with the X-Pack fabric, it almost feels like it could hold just a little bit more. You just have some extra flexibility. I was able to pack all the items that I would normally take with me on a week-long trip. And the bag does stick out a little bit when it's fully packed out. It's not as slim, but it still hugs your back enough that it's going to be okay for navigating crowded areas, jumping onto public transit, and carrying onto many domestic and international airlines. Taking a look at the straps and the back paneling, similar design here to prior versions of the GR2, of course, with the X-Pack fabric included. As mentioned with the Bullet Ruck, I really like the feel of X-Pack on the straps and the back paneling. It just feels a little less abrasive than Cordura can tend to feel. So just slightly more comfortable out of the box in my opinion. Still not a ton of breathability here, but the straps have always had a great width, for the amount of stuff that you might be carrying. You have webbing on the GR2 straps as well if you want to add a sternum strap or other accessories. On the back paneling, you know, again, same things as the other GR2s, so not a ton of breathability, but you do have some kind of ridges here to provide a little bit of ventilation, and that X-Pack fabric feels nice here as well. And then on the back paneling, again, no major changes here except the X-Pack fabric. You still have some ridges to provide a little bit of ventilation, but like with most Goruck bags, it's not going to be the most breathable. Still pretty comfortable overall. And then you have the same kind of laptop compartment with the false bottom, which is going to help prevent your laptop from getting damaged when you place the bag down a little bit harder. The big change here, which I really like, is that you have an aqua guarded zipper for the laptop sleeve now, which, you know, I always thought the zipper on the other versions of the GR1 and GR2 are a little bit exposed as they never had a rain flap, so I like this extra bit of protection. The sleeve is going to offer, as always, enough space for a 15 to 16 inch laptop, and you have the nice bright orange interior throughout this bag as well. Jumping into the organizational options, the layout here will be very similar to the other GR2s that we featured on the channel. So on the front, you have the slant quick access pocket. Again, this flap makes it a little bit tricky to open this compartment because you also have the aqua guard. So it's very well protected against the elements, but I kind of wish that they had just left this flap off. And then with this compartment, you always have a little bit of fixed volume. It's not super voluminous, but it still offers enough space, particularly with the X-Pack fabric, to be able to store some of the items that you might want to reach a little bit more easily while you're on a trip. So in this pocket, I just stored my Goruck wire Dopp mini, which has just some smaller EDC accessories. And then I also tossed in a full-size moleskin notebook. The next area we're going to take a look at is the front organizational compartment. Something that I always loved about all the GR2s is that this opens up completely flat, and you can see how smoothly the aqua guarded zippers allow me to open up this pocket. And then you have the bright orange lining to give you a lot of contrast and visibility into everything that you have in this area. And so at the top here, you have the built-in field pocket, which works as kind of a quick access area for any accessories that you have with you on your trip. I really like that this is a bright orange, really makes it easy to kind of have everything stand out. And this compartment always offers an interesting amount of volume. I've been impressed with how much it comes out. So anything bulkier is gonna be able to fit in here really easily. There's just a lot of pocketing all throughout the GR2s in general. So, I have plenty of flexibility with how to kind of spread out all of my items. For this one, I just tossed in my GoPro in this compartment. I have a little pouch from Tom Bin with some of these smaller tech items that I grab regularly. Then you have these slip pockets on the back that are great for just kind of keeping some of the items separate and easy to grab. So I have my BluePop portable Bluetooth speaker and power bank there. And then in the smaller slot, I have my Apple AirPods Pro. Underneath that compartment, you have a mesh zippered pocket that doesn't have a ton of volume. This isn't stretchy mesh or anything like that, but it still provides enough space to be usable. I just tossed in some of the items in here that I might take on a trip if I have a little bit of extra space. So I have my Matador pocket blanket, and then in this case, because I'm using my field pocket as a Dopp kit, I tossed in one of these slimmer tech pouches that I use. This is the Air Slim pouch, and it had a nice fit with this compartment with the limited space that it had. On the flap for this compartment, you have a few additional zippered areas to store items that you might be carrying with you. So you have another one that has a vertically oriented zipper to allow you to access this pocket without completely opening up the flap. So that's always nice. This one feels like it has a little bit more volume. It does share space with that front slant compartment, so you have to think about how you kind of distribute the items throughout the bag. And this one I just tossed in a simple deck of playing cards, a headlamp, and I also have a little manicure set. And then above that, you have a more kind of hidden compartment. Not hidden, but it doesn't have the mesh, so it's a little bit harder to see on the inside. But this is always a great compartment as it's near the top for more quick access items. So in this case, I just have a little lightning cable and power brick to charge my phone. And then I also have my sunglasses with their case. And then the last area we're going to take a look at is the main compartment. And so this is also a clamshell style compartment. It opens up completely flat very easily with these zippers. I can't emphasize that enough. Goruck, if you're listening, please include these aqua guarded zippers in future bags. And the first thing that I have here is the bullet ruck. This is how this collection was intended to work, was to give you a packable backpack that was very capable as an EDC bag for your travels. So when you arrive at your destination, if you don't want to walk around with this larger GR2 with all of your stuff, you have the bullet ruck, which packs down flat and easily take this out, fill it up with your tech items or a jacket or something like that, and then you're good to go. So really impressed with how flat this kind of packs down considering how robust the bag is, and then it's able to fit nicely into this compartment. And then beyond that, I just have the items that I would normally travel with. So I have a pair of shoes. These are some Toms that I take with me pretty much everywhere. I also have the field pocket, which as shown earlier is the Dopp kit that I'm using in this particular travel setup. Because of the MOLLE webbing, I could attach it to some of the webbing that's included here on the back, but I like being able to just remove this easily and quickly without having to fumble around with that. And then I also tossed in my larger double-sided and compressible packing cube. Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. So pretty familiar layout if you've seen a GR2 before with the webbing, and on the back you also have this slip pocket that expands a little bit to hold something like a notebook, a tablet, or Ruck plates. I don't know if I'd Ruck in this particular version of the bag, but you do still have the ability to do so if you would like. And then, let me see, you do have a pass-through at the top. If you want to use that for a water bladder, you can pass through a nozzle underneath the leather handle. You still have this Velcro here so that you can get through if you want to. And then on the other side, this is one of the changes with this particular version that was an interesting choice. On the regular versions of the GR2, you have two zippered mesh compartments in this area as well. They've been removed here, I believe, to save weight on the bag and to just remove some of the complications with zippers and components. And I'm a little bit torn on this change. I honestly never used the zippered pockets in this main compartment as much. In my other GR2s, I found that they created bulging here, and they just took up volume that I would rather dedicate to the items that I was packing for my trip. So most of the time they were empty. Sometimes I used them for cables or medicines or just smaller items. But so for me, it's not a huge deal that they've been removed, but I can definitely understand why people might be upset that they're not there, particularly if you've gotten used to using them in other versions of the bag. So small change there. For me, again, not a huge deal. In general, I really love just most of the updates that have been made as far as the materials, the zippers, and the capacity of the bag. I think it looks great. I'm already a big fan of the GR2, and with these changes, I feel like it only takes it to the next level. And so to wrap up, it's been a great experience testing out the Goruck Kaidan Collection over the past couple of weeks. And as I mentioned in the intro to the video, it is difficult to get these at the price that they were initially released at, which was already not for the faint of heart. The bags came in at $500, almost $300, $200 for these items, which normally don't cost quite that much. Purchasing them right now on a secondhand market, you'd probably have to pay a little bit of a premium. The regular versions of these bags that don't have the X-Pack material and some of the logos and patches and such are going to come in at about $400 for the GR2, a little less than $200 for the Bullet Ruck, and then a little under $100 for the field pocket. So a little bit more reasonable. In general, Goruck's products always have a little bit of a premium price as they're built in the US, they're super well made. I've used many of their products over the years, and if those things are important to you, it's gonna be maybe worth the additional cost, but there's also gonna be some other great items on the market that may be worth considering. And so as I was testing these out, I started to think about some of the other companies that have ecosystems of accessories that are going to be great for minimal travel. One of the first ones that came to mind is Air, which has one of my favorite travel backpacks of all time, the Air Travel Pack 2. They also have a ton of organizers that are fantastic, Dopp kits that pair well with that bag. They have a packable backpack, the Air Go Pack, which I absolutely love. And they're just really well-built items. They come in at a lower price point than this. They're offered in a variety of colors, materials. The Travel Pack 2 comes in at a little over $200. The Go Pack, which is the packable backpack, comes in, I believe, at around $100. And they have, like I said, a lot of different pouches. So if you're interested in great travel accessories, they're gonna have a little bit more of a techie and minimal vibe, and they're gonna be durable and offer a lot of weather resistance. And those are gonna be some fantastic options to take a look at. The next ecosystem that this made me think of is Tortuga. They make some fantastic travel backpacks. We've looked at their set out line of bags, the Outbreaker backpacks I've used for a number of years. I really love those bags. The Outbreaker in particular is one of the most comfortable travel backpacks that I've used. It has an X-Pack fabric similar to this, comes in at a lower price point. Their Outbreaker Day Pack has for a long time been, in my opinion, the king of packable day bags. It packs super flat, it's still pretty comfortable. I'm a really big fan of that bag. They also sell packing cubes that you can pair with their backpacks. And so just a really great company for travel gear. And again, if you're looking for something that's going to be reliable, look good, and come in at a slightly lower price range, then that's going to be a good option to check out. Another company these made me think of is Nomadic. They have a great ecosystem of travel and EDC bags and accessories. I've been a big fan of their 40-liter travel bag for a long time. I've also used their travel pack, which is an expandable backpack that works well for minimal travel or everyday usage. I've used those for many years. They also have Dopp kits, organizers, they have a packable backpack. All of those items work well together. They have a little bit more of a futuristic look. I'm not always crazy about the aesthetic of their items, but they're highly weather resistant. They have a lot of features, different pockets, comfortable harness systems. I really like the care that goes into their bags. They come in at, a pretty high price point, but less than these bags. They're still over $200 for many of their bags, but again, they've been reliable over the years as I've used them. They have a lot of different options, and if you're looking for just a feature-packed accessories and backpacks, and those are gonna be some fantastic options to keep in mind. And then the last company I'll mention here is Tom Bin, which is another one that has just a fantastic range of items. They have a ton of travel bags, backpacks for minimal travel, organizers, accessories. I really love all the different ways that their items combine together. They're well-made bags that are assembled in the US. Their Scenic 30 has been one of my favorite minimal travel bags to test out. I really love the organizational layout in that bag. I've also been using their Techonaut backpack a lot over the past couple of months, and they have the handy little thing pouches. They have Dopp kits. I have one of their clear Dopp kits, which works as a liquids pouch. They just have a ton of different accessories that you could put together to create a system very similar to this one. Like this system, because they're assembled in the US and it's a smaller company, they build in smaller batches, the price points on those are gonna be a little bit higher. The Scenic 30 comes in at around $300. The Techonaut, I believe, is even higher than that. Some of their accessory pouches can be in the $60 to $100 range. So, they're gonna come in at a little bit of a premium, but they're very well built. There's a lot of options and they just combine really well together. Tom Bin has the O-ring system as opposed to the MOLLE webbing that Goruck has, which allows you to clip items on, and just mix and match in the way that's gonna work best for you. So if you like that type of flexibility and you want some reliable bags that are just gonna be great for travel, then that's gonna be another great company to consider. With that being said, the Goruck Kaidan Collection and just the regular items that they sell that are not part of the Kaidan Collection specifically hold up really well against everything that I just mentioned. And if you're looking for super durable items that are gonna offer a ton of flexibility and you have a little bit of a higher budget, then there are gonna be some fantastic options to take a look at. And I'm definitely curious to hear what you all think of the Kaidan Collection and the upgrades that Goruck made to some of their popular items. I'm also curious to hear what you all think about collaborations in general and just, the drop system, and also what your dream collaboration would be. So, Carryology has done some great ones in Alpha 19er with Evergood. So what types of collaborations would you like to see in the future? Let me know in the comments below, and also if there's any similar items that you think that I should check out. And as always, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.